Chris, Christy Olsen, Katie Howe, Greg Gifford, Steve Linney, Verna Virgin, Lucas and Leslie, Anna has a hat, Laura Crims, Shelley Walsh, Courtney Sampler, Justin Champion, Damon Gothner, Nicholas Stott, Larry Kim, and 150 big ones. Aidan Carroll, Jeff White, Garrett Moon, Bridget Randolph, David Satella, Jim Banks, Matt Satella, and Glenn Tepfer, Obi Andrew Enko, Ranky of the Air Miles, Ross Cavendale, Brett Satoris, Mary Haynes, and Mike Sadowski, Harry Mirabella, and Kevin Lee, Mark Todd Hagen, Tide Medlin. Jay Beer, Joe Alphabound, Hugh Quick, Russell McCaffey, Chris Smith, Gavin Bell, Marcus Tandler, Zach Johnston, Amy Latino, Bush Matar, Isaac Radunsky, Joe Bondarowski, Chris Green, and Andrew Dottavio, Alex Moss, Christina Nair, Mike Sotova was Miss Marsh, Christina Sedney, Joe Com, Camilla Garnia, and Mitch Joe, Scott Brinker, Janet Murray, J.D. Prater, and Hannah Butcher, Michael Bonfield, Coutson Alfonse, Paul Rook, Marcus Miller, Joe Martinez, and Josh Steinley, Paul Lovo, Fabrizio Ballerini, Johnny Ross, Tuka Look the Ivories, Andrew Val, Amy Bishop, Leah Bucking Warner, Lexi Mills, Christian Hans, Chad Pullett, Teresa Heath Waring, and Jeff Sauer, Kevin Indig, Puppet Art Searchman, Stephen Spencer and Kirk Williams, Michael Fleischner and Sion Mahon, Marcus Sheridan and Stuart Rogers, Pam Ungst, Rock and Rose It Away. Bas Van Den Belt, Brad Geddes, Emery Kerno, Iva Zelka, Evan Carmichael, Patrick Conlon, Julia Brambo, and Rebecca Radice, Mark Wright, You Are Fired, Ian Anderson Gray, Sarah Jean Grattan, Joe Griffin, Ashley Ward, Alexander Rinn, Ariane Donahue, Jason Barnard, Stephen McGeeby, Sam Monica Ginn, Nick Wilsden, Joe Turnbow, Kevin Givens, Ian Cleary, Tom Trainer, Laurie Wang, and James Elias, Michael King, hashtag Zurostat, Jeremy Einstein, Dave Ruben Scott, Pat Payne, Cosmin Rigrescu, Erla Stern, Lydia Citroen, Andrew and Pete, loves Trick or Treat. Dan Norton, Edwin Raymond, Jimmy Daly, Ned Poulter, Dixon Jones, Alex Tashlova, Pete Matthew, Aaron Levy, John O'Oderson, Fast Talking Snackman, Alyssa Meredith, Jeff C, Jessica Giglio, Dennis Yu, Alexander Roy, Sam Noble, Is it Mark, Astrid or John Bon Jovi? Colin Gray, take it away. And Mr. Chris Ducker, finish it off.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Digital Marketing in 2019, a 5-part live stream series bringing you 120 of the world's leading digital marketers to you. So they'll be answering just the one question, which is, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019? I'm your host and event organizer, David Bain. I'm also the head of product digital marketing for Avado and the founder and host of Digital Marketing Radio. So thank you to everyone that's actually joined us live so far. There's loads of people joined us live already. I'm sure there's loads more that are actually going to join us as well. Remember to please share this stream on Facebook. It'd be great to get as many as possible watching this. Join in the comments as well. If you've got any thoughts, comments, tips yourself that you'd like to leave in the live chat, it would be wonderful to hear from you as well. And There is going to be a book that's published about this event, Digital Marketing 2019. If you are leaving wonderful comments, I may also contact you to participate in that book as well. Although you're not a live guest on the show, it'll be great to have you as part of the book as well. As well as Facebook, you can also do that using the hashtag Digital Marketing in 2019 on Twitter. There's a few people using that already, so use that as well. That's a good way to get our eyeballs as well. Now, today, we're very pleased to be joining you live from the HubSpot Academy Facebook page. If you haven't tried out the HubSpot Academy yet, you absolutely have to. So let me show you the site there. To have a look at that, just go to academy.hubspot.com to check it out. So HubSpot Academy offers loads of incredible free business courses on a wide range of subjects, from sales management, email marketing, content marketing, business writing, search engine optimization, and many more topics. It's also HubSpot's official learning resource, where a HubSpot Academy certification is awarded every 5 seconds, actually. So make sure you check that out. Just go over to academy.hubspot.com. Also, if you're watching this live, just absolutely make sure you're subscribed to watch the next live stream in the series. So you can find out about that and do that over at digitalmarketingin2019.com. If you, however, unfortunately are watching this as a replay, or you can't actually watch everything live, there's a couple of other things that you could do. This series is also going to be made into a series of 10 podcast episodes published on the Digital Marketing Radio podcast. That'll be published in about January, February 2019. So just search for Digital Marketing Radio in your favorite podcatcher, iTunes, Android, whatever it may be, and you will get those sections of this live stream brought to you in podcast form. The other thing that I mentioned is, of course, the book. The book will be published roughly late February. That includes all the incredible content that's shared there. And again, you'll be able to find out about that or receive alerts when that's been published at digitalmarketingin2019.com. But now, it is time to introduce you to one of today's co-hosts. So this chap is someone who's been featured in PR News, Marketing Profs, Search Marketing Sage, and WordStream. He is the Principal Inbound Professor at HubSpot, and he's co-host of Digital Marketing 2019 for the next 45 minutes. So welcome to Justin Champion.
All right, so let's kick this off. We have Aidan Solis first. Aidan is an international SEO consultant and founder of Outranking, a highly specialized boutique SEO consultancy. Aidan, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
My #1 actionable tip for 2019 is to start playing around with Google Actions. Have you seen like actionable actions? There you go. No, anyway, no, this is the time. This is actually the time. I remember 2 years ago when something like this was done initially by David, right? I recommended on starting testing with bots. I think that Google Actions is the evolution of that, because it allows us not only to have a bot-like type of conversation, but to expand the conversational experience that we can provide with our website, right? To complement the information that we provide with our website, and also to have the opportunity to have a better reach to provide answers through the Google Home and Google App too. So there are many ways to implement one. Dialogflow is one, but actually there are templates that you can even use Google Docs, a Google Docs document, fill it out and generate very easy to quizzes, some games. So it doesn't need to be something very complicated, but you can start testing with it a little bit to better understand, also because it provides a console showing the type of queries that trigger the action, right? So it helps you to better understand the conversational type of behavior of your customer. I did create one already for a website that I have that is called Why My Web Traffic Dropped, with a quiz to test a little bit of what the users had learned from the website, the potential causes of traffic drop, and it was fun. It was a fun experience. I could expanded it more, but I think it is a good opportunity right now to start playing with it.
I love it. And so so it sounds like you've been experimenting with it. You mentioned a quiz, a couple of other things. Is there maybe a recommendation or even a resource where you might recommend people might go to be able to even learn a little bit more about it? Because I agree, I think engaging content, keeping people on your site is going to reduce bounce rate. Things like that can be helpful. Completely.
Actually, Google provides a wealth of information in their developers website. They have a whole section for actions. They provide a step-by-step to create an action, not only with the Google Docs templates, but also with Diagoflow. If you have more of development type of input or support, that is also even a better option, of course, for a much better type of experience. So I will recommend to go to the Google Actions page on Google.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Aleida. You can find Aleida over at aleidasolis.com. All right, so moving on, we are moving on to Phil Pallen. Phil is a brand strategist and keynote speaker. Phil, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Sure. Thank you for having me. Sorry, it's a little bit noisy in the background. I'm at a busy WeWork in London. My tip for 2019 is probably different than what other people are saying, and that is be purposeful. I think now, going into 2019, we're inundated with messages, and people honestly want a timeout. We're seeing people take little vacations from social media because it's too much. So I think we as marketers and content creators need to be respectful of people's time, make it worth their while. Don't post on social media unless there's something valuable. Take everything you're writing, cut it in half. If you're sending a newsletter, get to the point. So those are a few of my thoughts. And I should say it in a few sentences, right? Because that's my point. I
love it. That is so perfect. To talk about the amount of content that is just being published every minute and how much noise is actually out there. And when you even think about content creation, actually thinking about creating content that is going to provide value, or it is going to have purpose behind it. So I completely agree with that. From a purpose perspective, like just because you have a little time left, do you have maybe any pro tips or anything that you can recommend that might be helpful for somebody who is maybe new to content creation and understanding what would be a good thing to do from a purpose perspective?
Sure, and it works both ways. So not only, obviously, I'm emphasizing the experience of your user, your customer, but it's also for you. Think about how much more time it's going to mean to be efficient in terms of what you're creating. I'd probably give you a resource of someone I think is doing this well right now. I think there are not a lot of people doing this well right now, but there's a guy that I've discovered in the last few months named Darius Farrow, and he's a copywriter and a marketer, and really his newsletter is amazing, and I'd never even think about unsubscribing from it because every time he emails me, it's useful. So I think in this instance, it's good to see what other people are doing. What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? He's someone doing it right.
Exactly. The one thing I always think when somebody asks me, like, how do I get started with creating content? It's actually going and looking at what already exists, understanding what's being talked about, understanding is there any unique angle where you might be able to provide value. So completely agree. Thank you so much. You can find Phil over at philpallen.expert. Let's move on to AJ Wilcox. AJ is a LinkedIn ads expert and founder of B2 Linked. AJ, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
All right, so I know this isn't going to apply to everyone, but I'm pretty much all B2B in what I do. So my tip really has to revolve around how do you make sure that you're going to give someone a lot of value before you ever ask for anything. So in B2B, obviously we're doing this a lot with content. So maybe you're going to do something like offer a free checklist or a free cheat sheet or free white paper or join a free webinar. But it's funny, this isn't exactly new advice, but I still talk to companies every single day who they just haven't gotten on top of the content game, and they still expect that from social, they're going to send cold traffic to a contact page, and you just can't do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. The same thing even with like a landing page. Like I've been doing a lot of research and content creation around building high quality links, and so many people, whether it's like they're trying to build links over to like a brand page or even like landing pages, like thinking about educational content and really focusing on the buyer's journey of what is this person who's coming to the page, how can you educate them and ultimately get them where you're wanting to go while providing the best experience possible. Because you're right, like if you're just sending somebody to a contact page without any context, it's not helpful, and it just provides a poor experience.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the sales funnel where you have like just the few people at the bottom who are currently considering solutions like yours. You're hoping that they're the ones who are going to be filling out the form, but you have all of this mass above you that still needs to be educated and still needs to know that they can now know, like, and trust you. So, and obviously for business owners, yeah, it's scary to go off and invest a whole bunch of money and time into creating a great piece of content just to not know whether or not that content is going to take off and work well. But it's an investment that you have to make.
Exactly, and not just investing in content that is brand specific. That's the other thing. Most people, when they're just getting started with creating content, they want to just talk about themselves, but little secret is nobody cares who you are yet because they have no idea. They're not searching for you. They're searching for something that's relevant to your industry. So completely agree. You do have about another minute left. I'm not sure if there's anything else that you want to say while you have the spotlight on.
Yeah, sure. I'll give one more that specifically relates to any sort of audience advertising. So this probably relates just as well to Facebook ads as it does to LinkedIn, but I'm a big fan of hyper-segmenting your audience. So instead of going after, like, hey, I know my buyer is going to be marketers, manager, and above. Instead, break that into 4 separate groups of marketing managers, marketing directors, VPs, and CMOs. And what's going to happen is you're still going to reach all the same people, but now you have the statistics showing you which group is responding to what, and you can start to bid up the things that are working really well and bid down the ones that aren't working well. And especially now you know who's relating to what content, so it informs your decisions on what type of content to create in the future.
I love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, AJ. You can find AJ over at b2link.com. All right, moving on to Mark Wright. Mark is founder and CEO of Climb Online, has been featured on Forbes 30 Under 30, and is a former UK Apprentice show winner. Mark, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Wow, good afternoon. I'm happy to be here. My actionable tip, all I ever talk about is how to grow your business. I believe that to be successful in business, you constantly got to be growing it, and the way to grow your business is through digital marketing. The thing that I'm seeing at the moment is the biggest player for me and my customers is chatbots. Chatbots are killing it for us at the moment. Chatbots, for anyone who's listening that doesn't know, chatbots are messaging tools on social media that respond to customers or potential customers' queries through automated conversations. So they basically take the role of a customer service or sales representative in a business. Chatbots are going to be responsible for a cost saving of over £8 billion in staff wages by 2022, and 85% of all customer service interactions will be used by chatbots in the year 2020. So these things are going to be a big game player. Now, I was very pessimistic about how chatbots would work in my business because I don't like the idea of machines taking a human's job. So I've tried them in my business recently, and at the moment we currently get over 27 leads a day from chatbots, reaching out to 4 companies a minute. The chatbot pretends it's me. It goes into a sales automated funnel, and we're getting over 27 to 30 leads a day. So I encourage all people out there to look at using chatbot technology in their business, not only as a customer service tool, but as an aggressive sales tool. In fact, some of the stats are saying that by 2020, the average person will have more conversations with bots than their own spouse. So I know the nerds are looking forward to that one. You know, I think you've got to be first and you've got to be in it to win it. And these things are super effective. I know I'm limited on time, so I'm going to give you some of my best, the best tools to go out and create your own chatbot. The one I'm using that's working for Facebook at the moment that is best is ManyChat. That's M-A-N-Y chat, ManyChat. That's working really well for engaging through Facebook Messenger, and I'm using that one at the moment. It's a free tool that you can go out and get and start building. The best for building your own chatbot to work multiple platforms is HubSpot. HubSpot have just created a new chatbot builder that you can implement and put a flow through your whole business. And I've trialed every single chatbot builder, and the HubSpot one is really, really good, and that's going to be one to watch. in 2019. The other option you've got is to build a custom bot for yourself. I use bots to go out and talk through LinkedIn, Outlook, and on Facebook Messenger. I think these things are going to really change the game of digital marketing next year. And if used and combined with the rest of your strategy, it's going to be very effective.
Completely agree. And I do love my wife, but yeah, I see what you're saying about chatbots being responsive and being able to get you information when you need it. Appreciate everything so much, Mark. You can find Mark over at climbonline.co.uk. All right, let's keep this moving. We're going on to Johnny Ross. Johnny is a digital marketing specialist for Fleek Marketing, who provides digital campaigns, training, and consultancy deeply rooted by SEO. Johnny, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Hey, thanks for having me firstly. It's great to be here. Logistics are going really well, although we're only 5 in. How are you going to do this for 5 days? You know, with 115 people left, I'll be impressed. But I know the team behind the scenes, it'll be working well. So, #1 tip for 2019, I've been thinking really long and hard about this, trying to work out what's best to advise. It's so dangerous to jump on the bandwagon and dive deep into something that you know, one bit of marketing. So I'm going to have a caveat at the end. But I think the big thing that currently I do lots of work in voice search. Ultimately, if you look at younger generations, more and more using voice search, and the real reason being is that we talk 3 times faster than we can write, and so there's that great opportunity to be in position 0, right at the top of Google for lots of different queries, Google's answer engine. And so it's about thinking about what people are searching, longer questions, but the key thing here is schema. So marking up content, marking up as much content as possible. So whether you're a dentist or a vet or a radio station, there's all sorts of different schemas. There's thousands of schemas. I'm doing currently a lot of work with job websites, recruitment agencies. Google are really trying to push their jobs board. And so we're marking up lots of schema. Recently, I've been getting lost in standard occupational classification taxonomies, which if you're interested and you're doing job schema, have a look at ONET SOC taxonomy, and it's there's 974 types, different job types that have a code next to them, and if you use that code in your schema, it's a way of really ensuring that you get in the right place within Google Jobs. But as I said at the beginning, the caveat is just take a step back. Marketing, digital marketing, is it, you know, when are we going to stop talking about digital marketing and just talk about marketing? It's taken a step back, and nothing has changed since years ago. It's about giving really good customer service. It's about looking at the customer journey. It's about giving delights, giving surprises, working out what might your customers, what they might not be happy with, and thinking about how you can really turn some of that stuff around. And that giving great customer service is great marketing. So those are my tips for 2019.
In an information world, you're right. Customer is king. It's businesses used to hold the power. Now it's the customer holds the power, because if you're not going to get it, if you don't like the source you're looking at, you can just always go to somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much, Johnny. You can find Johnny over at fleek.marketing. Let's move on to Greg Gifford. Greg has been doing local SEO for 12 years, speaks all over the world at conferences, and has ridiculously awesome movie tattoos. Even has a great Lego picture behind him, which you showed us earlier in the call. Greg, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
So there's this new thing called SEO, and everybody should do it. Boom.
Okay.
No, my tip is anyone that has a business that has a physical location or that serves customers in a particular geographic area needs to really pay more attention to Google My Business. Google My Business is the new homepage of your website if you're a local business. All the things that people used to go to your website for, they need directions, they need to read a little bit more about you, they need to see testimonials, they need to get your phone number, they need to see pictures. All that happens on the knowledge panel now. So a lot of business owners aren't paying attention to that, and it's now the first impression that people get, like your homepage used to be. You need to fully fill out everything that you can fill out. You need to choose the right categories. You need to upload lots of awesome photos and videos. You absolutely have to pay attention to Google Q&A, which now shows on desktop and has for the whole year, and still hardly anyone knows it's there. So you've got to be paying attention to that, loading your own questions in, answering your own questions, paying attention to the answers that pop up, and upvoting your own answers so that those show as the definitive answer. And you absolutely need to be using Google Posts to share promotional info. So there's a lot to do within Google My Business that's incredibly important to success.
Yeah, I completely agree. When you think about, like, if, for instance, I just moved to Asheville, North Carolina, if you're here and you're looking for restaurants in the area, like that, having a Google My Business that's actually updated is going to help you not, it's going to, like you said, it's going to be like the homepage of your website. It's going to be what people are actually looking at. Yep. You do have a couple more minutes left. Is there anything other specific that you'd like to talk about Google My Business, or maybe another pro tip?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with posts, it's really important to choose the right images. A lot of people aren't paying attention to how the images are cropped, and they're actually cropped slightly differently between desktop and mobile. So if you're going to have text on your images at all, pay attention to what's there. Also, there's multiple types of posts that you can put up. Pay attention to what text is actually going to show in the thumbnail view, because if you're including a date range, a title, and a call to action button, you only get one line of characters, so it's really tough to get anything compelling there. So you really need to play around with posts. We've got insane success for a lot of our clients using them and using them correctly. So, I mean, now you can upload videos too, so you've got a video thumbnail that when you click on it, it autoplays. So play around with that. Like, it's really, really important, especially now that Google allows people to follow your business if they've got an Android phone, and whenever they pop up maps, it's going to serve up posts from the businesses that they follow. So it's going to be huge next year.
Love it. Thank you so much, Greg. You can find Greg over at dealeron.com. Moving on to Steve Linney. Steve is Chief Marketing Officer for Readable.io. Spearheading the use of readability and content marketing. Steve, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Hi there, thanks for having me on. So my #1 tip is to ensure your website content is readable. So if a page doesn't load within 3 seconds and it's not readable in 10, people leave and head towards a faster and clearer website. So that gives you 7 seconds to grab someone's attention once your page is loaded. Now, poor readability is a sign you're not looking after your audience. And what that can mean is that you spend a lot of time and money and resources producing content that's not fit for purpose. You don't have an engaged audience. You lose audience trust. You find your customers taking their business elsewhere, and ultimately you lose revenue. So one good way to look at it is, if you want your content to be understood by 80% of Americans, right at grade 8 level. A lot of online content doesn't do this, and it's too complex for the average consumer. This is something that also the Dutch government found when it began to use readability tools. It found its content was too complicated for the majority of readers in the Netherlands. So without the clarity readability brings, you can cause a lot of problems for your customer and for yourself. So much so, readability is becoming a recognized legal requirement. We've seen this happen in Texas, where car insurance documents now have to be at a minimum readable standard to be legally valid. And at Readable.io, we collect readability data from clients such as NASA and Shopify. And we found a few common issues around readability, and these include overuse of long sentences, use of adverbs, buzzwords, geek speak, jargon, and acronyms. There's also using long words when simple words will do. And there's a confusion between formal and conversational tone. So the good news is these mistakes can be avoided by adopting readability measures as part of your content assessment process. And having readability content is all about clarity of message. It's not about dumbing down what you're saying. You're making it so the largest number of people can understand what you're saying. And a kind of a good quote that I like to use is by Bernard Kilgore, who was editor of the Wall Street Journal, and he put it as right for the expert, but right so the non-expert can understand.
That's perfect. And you're spot on with the readability. You know, the bounce rate is probably one of the biggest problems for people, where Google loves longer content, but actually making sure that the content is not so long that the page is not loading. One even thing you can do that I've even seen with experiments is adding a short video at the top. So from a readability perspective, you have the content on the page, but then you also have another way of engaging this person and keeping them on the page so that they can even read that content. Thank you so much, Steve. You can find Steve over at Readable.io. All right, moving on. Moving on, we have Purna Virji, named by PPC Hero in 2016 as the #1 most influential PPC expert in the world. Purna specializes in digital marketing, artificial intelligence, and the future of search. Purna, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Okay, so for 2019, I think it's all about personalization at scale. What we're really going to have to think about is segmenting and targeting our audiences. So all of our ad messaging, our copywriting, everything feels super relevant at the right place. I think we have to do this for 2 reasons. One, our expectations as consumers are changing so much. If we think about what was okay with us 4 or 5 years ago, it's definitely a big no-no now. We compare any engagement with any company with the best experience we've ever had, like not just with their competition. So I want everything to be as smooth and easy as possible. And the second reason is we have the tools now to do this. Everyone's talking about all of these advances in AI, and yes, it's understanding voice, it's understanding images, it's doing all of this. Well, all of that is really great, but we have to bring it right back to what the technology can do for your customer. So if we save some of our time by letting some of the machines take over some of the heavy lifting, like the automation options that are on offer, such as bid management or helping with reporting or helping with sort of importing things so you make changes in one place, bring it to a couple, that will save you time. Use that time to better drill into and understand your audiences, the different segments, the different motivations, so you can really craft the right message to reach them. Plus, in addition to all of those cool AI developments, a great thing that they have brought for search is things like in-market audiences. Again, that's available on both Google and Bing. You can literally make sure you show your ads to a group of people who are in the market to buy what you're looking for, and they may or may not have even heard of your brand, but you can still reach them because of these targeting options that the search engines have provided. Another exciting thing that I'm personally really keen to look forward to is what Microsoft's offering with LinkedIn profile targeting. That's a new beta from Bing Ads, and that can really allow you to target more precisely using some LinkedIn profile dimensions such as company, job function, and industry. So with all of these options at your fingertips, I think you definitely can go ahead and hit the personalization at scale in 2019.
Love it. Thank you so much, Purna. She's also the senior manager of global engagement at Microsoft and Bing. All right, David, I know that we had Nicola Stott, who was going to be next, but I believe that she is not here,
right,
so
yeah,
I wanted to check on the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Nicola can't unfortunately make it, but everyone else has been great at managing to make it on time. Nicola, I know if you're able to watch this at all, you were struggling with your internet a little bit, but we'll perhaps be able to get you on another day. But there has been a lot of wonderful comments about HubSpot as well. Anna Leela saying, I love HubSpot. Can't get any more obvious than that about her adoration for the software. We've got Thu Luong saying HubSpot's so helpful as well. But in relation to the content, we've got Kevin Anderson it's saying in relation to Mark Wright's comment about chatbots, aggressive sales too, that's not the future for me. And I guess the interesting thing about chatbots is how they're actually implemented. Mark was talking about using ManyChat. I use Mobile Monkey, and you know, it's absolutely incredible, whatever platform you use, what you can do that. And I guess the way that you choose to use it is going to be different for each situation. I've tried to be a little bit funny and share a few GIFs, but I'm not actually using it for reaching out to people, and perhaps that's something that I should consider using, like Mark was talking about, because 27 new leads per day is absolutely incredible to grow a business. We've got Laurie Netchell that was asking, is there a way to measure readability? Kevin Anderson saying something similar as well. And that's, of course, the website was it readable.io? I think it was readable.io.
It was readable.io.
That you can go and find out a little bit more about that from as well. So there's a lot of interaction going. A lot of people simply saying a wonderful panel of speakers, and thank you so much for sharing this. So back to you, Justin, and I guess to introduce the next guest.
Yeah, we're crushing on time. Perfect. Love all the comments. All right, so moving on to Christy Olson. Christy is the head of evangelism for search at Microsoft. Christy, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019? I believe you're on mute. David, can you unmute her, if possible?
I don't have an option to unmute Christy, but hopefully Christy might be able to do that herself. There doesn't appear to be something that I can control there myself, personally. It's in the settings icon at the top there, but Christy's shaking her head there. I don't have that option there. But that's not necessarily something that's going to stop us from hearing from you. So perhaps what we could do is you could refresh the Hangout, Christy. We could come back to you, and maybe we could just move on to Laura, Justin.
Yeah, let's do that. So Laura is the founder of Silverthorn, a PR, social, and content agency that sparks conversations and engagement to get brands talked about in all the right places. Laura, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Hello. So my actionable tip is something that I feel like should have been something we've been doing for every year up until now, but being a lot more targeted with our marketing. So as you said, I work very much in the PR and content marketing space. So a lot of what I do is appealing to, I always talk about our end consumer, but we've also got the middle audience of journalists that we kind of have to go through to get to our end audience. And one of the biggest frustrations I still get to this day, kind of 6 or 7 years into my career, is that PRs aren't targeted enough with how they're contacting them. And with so much data and tools out there that can help us these days in making sure we are finding the right journalists and are reaching them in the right way, there's not necessarily an excuse for why we're not doing that. So I think being super targeted and giving the right things to the right people at the right times is probably my #1 tip. There's a wealth of tools out there, both free and paid, that you can use to find this. And I think it's another thing that people are looking at from an AI point of view, because obviously that's another buzzword right now. Everyone's trying to figure out how they're going to be using AI, what that's going to do to our jobs. I'm not necessarily on the hype of AI stealing our jobs, but I think we can learn a lot from the projects that are happening at the moment, which are happening more in the journalism side than the kind of PR content marketing side. And there's projects like Radar here in the UK, which is working with the Press Association, Associated Press, and kind of revitalizing regional newspapers and local newspapers. So they're taking open data, crafting copy that then the AI uses the local data to then feed in to generate a localized news story for every local paper around the UK, which is huge and helped to revitalize, as I say, local press, which was kind of dying up until now. But that's about doing the right targeting. So knowing that local papers only want to feature local stories, so we need to make every story that we're pitching them local to make that cut through. So I think that's my #1 thing, is making sure everything is really targeted and really relevant for the people that you are contacting.
I love it. We're seeing a trend here. We're hearing targeted, we're hearing personalization. Thank you so much, Laura. You can find Laura over at silverthornagency.com. Let's keep this going on to Shelly Walsh. Shelly is the founder of Shell Shock, who provides creative content marketing and digital PR. Shelly, what's your #1 digital marketing pro tip for 2019?
Well, my pro tip, being a content producer person, is very much focused on, once you get the traffic to the site, what do you do with that traffic once it's on the site? And I do think that a lot of people are not paying this as much attention as they should. A lot of focus is getting the traffic there. So it's really about what experience the user is going to have once they're on the page. you know, a really good content experience, and not a non-relevant content nightmare, as we often see, such as, you know, the page doesn't answer your question or query, it's a dead end page, it's badly written and badly presented, my absolute worst no-no, or the page has no relevance to the SERP result or the link that it actually came through from, and you see that so often, and then it's a fast bounce and no return. So what I would suggest people do is, first of all, really invest in the psychology of users and read lots of books about behavioral science. I do a lot of reading about behavior and psychology, particularly anything by Chip and Dan Heath. You know, everybody must have read Made to Stick, Power of Moments, anything by Nassim Taleb, and particularly Hooked by Nir Eyal. Fantastic books, all focused around this subject. Then what you want to do is be producing a content map and experience flow maps as part of your content strategy. So then you can be making sure that your traffic is always coming through at the right stage of the funnel for the page that it'll land on. You know, you've got your top of the funnel to wide queries, bottom of the funnel to reviews, comparisons, case studies. You've not got it the other way around. Again, a lot of people are missing out on tying their content to the sales funnel, which is just, you know, you're really missing out there. Also look at your keywords. We always come back to keywords. I know a lot of people always talk about keywords and might find it's, you know, quite non-relevant, but I still think absolutely focus on how you're actually, what you want to do is preempt what customer, what question the user is going to be asking at every stage of the journey, so that you're answering that throughout the page. Every point in the page, your page should say, oh, this is what you're thinking, and the user, as they're reading, they're going, wow, this is like reading my mind. Quora is a fantastic tool for finding out, you know, what people are actually, what questions they're asking about wide topics. And also, I find Twitter fantastic as well for really finding out what questions people have around, you know, just search relevant topics on hashtags, wealth of information. And then finally, absolutely do not forget your call to action. Never leave the user boxed in, and always send them to the next action. So many people just absolutely ignoring this, and, you know, the user's on the page with nowhere to go. So as I say, my absolute top tip for 2019 is to be focusing on what people do once you get on the site, and make sure your content is the highest quality.
Yes, psychology. I love that you led with that. It's so important, not even just for the human, for the person who's reading the content, but also for the search engine. Search engines nowadays with RankBrain and Hummingbird, those algorithm updates, they're looking for intent, and they want to make sure that this person is getting the right type of content, because that's Google's #1 job. So yeah, thank you so much for that, Shelley. You can find Shelley over at shellshockuk.com.
Thank you very much.
All right. David, I know that we had
Christy Olsen.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, she was just struggling to unmute her microphone. For some reason, Hangouts was saying, we don't accept this microphone. We're not going to unmute it for you. Maybe it was a Microsoft issue, because she is the head of kind of search evangelism for Microsoft.
Yep.
And I know that she may be trying to get in again. Perhaps she's got to find some computer with Chrome on it in Microsoft, which might be a little bit of a tricky thing.
I was hoping she was still here, because she could have just typed it over and we could have a discussion about it. But either way, hopefully she's still able to get her tip into the content that you're creating next year.
I'm sure she'll share it in the book, in the Digital Marketing 2019 book. But I mean, lots of people have been sharing their comments. Lots of people still saying that they love HubSpot. But we've got Kevin Anderson that's said, I've experienced good and bad bots. Yours was a good example, David. Okay, thank you, Kevin. Hopefully it'll continue to be a good example. It's I think a little bit of an experiment for many people at the moment, and it's difficult to know, when is the right way to say something, and what is the right tone to use. Regarding Laura Crimmon's advice, she said that he said that as a former newspaper man, that's great advice. So Laura was talking about involving AI in really distributing local news stories, and I love that, actually, because if you can really use AI to deliver great valuable local content instead of actually spamming everyone with the same content or giving someone irrelevant content. I remember years ago being involved in grayer areas of SEO and using spinning tags and trying to provide unique content, in inverted commas, doing that, and that's not a good user experience. It's a good experience to come through, but I think I'll stop sharing stories here, because we might have Christy back on. Christy, have you been able to
We've got her
unmute
back.
yourself?
I think I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
We hear you. All right.
Awesome.
We're gonna, if it's okay,
One minute.
we'll give you. Well, we can give you 2 if you want to go. You can cut into my time, so definitely go. You're good to go.
Okay, perfect. So for me, what the biggest tip I have in 2019, you've heard a little about this before, is understand your audiences. We're going to be seeing a shift essentially happening within search specifically, that keywords, it's not that they're not important or as relevant, it's that between organic search, we're seeing that intent is just as important as keywords coming on the back end. And on paid search, it's the fact that you can layer your audience targeting on top of your paid search campaigns, as Perna said, to be so much more targeted what you're doing. So what it means for you if you're a digital marketer is, number 1, on the paid search side, really start thinking about how do your keywords essentially are mapping to different stages of your customer decision journey and the actions that the consumer is taking on the site, and start mapping that out to create much more specific audiences associated with where they're at within the funnel. And then you need to start thinking about how are you going to adjust 4 different things: your messaging, your keywords that you're targeting against, or because you can layer audiences in a positive as well as a negative manner. You want to just, let's see, landing pages based on the actions they've taken on your site, and then how would you address your bid strategy? So it's going to come back to being much more complicated and complex as we go down the path, because how you can layer those audiences on top of each other for paid search campaigns does make it much more targeted and personalized. The area in organic search with essentially the moving toward intent is that we need to start thinking about the keywords that we're using and targeting, and what is the intent behind those words and phrases. So as we're writing content and making it so you can optimize your content, that you are going after not just a set of keywords, but the actions that you're hoping on the back end. And how do you do a better job, which you've heard from a lot of people this morning, of getting to the heart of content based on the intent that the consumer has with the keywords they're searching.
Christy, you're my hero. You must have dialed in like 4 times. I think that, hand of applause. Thank you so much for dialing back in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Superb stuff, yeah. Of course, Christy Olsen is someone that you can find over at Bing Ads. But what I want to do, just before you head off, Justin, is get your thoughts as well. So the floor is yours for 1 minute. So I'm sure you've got lots of incredible advice to share as well. But what is your number 1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019 yourself? Yeah,
so there was some great ones that we talked about today. Mine would be that you want to focus on domain authority. I've worked with a lot of different businesses, and they create a lot of great content, and they have an issue of understanding, why am I not getting rankings? Like, how is my what is the problem? Why is my content not getting out there? I know it provides value. And it's really, you need to check your domain authority. What domain authority is, it's how authoritative your website looks in the eyes of Google. And a quick way of doing this, just as one quick tip, would be create valuable educational content on your site and then syndicate it. Maybe do guest blogs for other websites that have high authority and build links back to your site. So you want to do some white hat SEO with building high quality links back to your site, which will help you improve your domain authority. And it just so happens that I am working on a course with HubSpot Academy on business blogging strategy. So all you got to do is go to Blogging Training HubSpot on Google, and there's a pre-registration page where you can check it out.
Absolutely superb.
It'll be out February. It'll be out, sorry, February 2019 when your book's coming out.
Okay, and we'll be in competition. No, I'm sure there'll be multiple people looking at both areas. And of course, you can find Justin over at academy.hubspot.com. Thank you so much again for being a co-host for us, Justin.
Thank you so much, David. Have a great rest of your day.
Wonderful, you too. Now, as a public service announcement, if you are watching this series live, make sure you subscribe to receiving the latest alerts when we next go live. You can sign up and receive that over at digitalmarketingin2019.com. If you can't watch everything live, of course, you can also have access to the Digital Marketing 2019 podcast episodes. You'll find that in Digital Marketing Radio, the podcast. Just search for that in your favorite podcatcher, and that should come out in January or February 2019. And of course, the book will come out, as Justin mentioned, in late February of 2019 as well. Digital Marketing 2019, again, is where you need to stay subscribed to make sure that you receive that alert when it actually comes out. But now, let us move over to today's second co-host, who is the team lead and inbound professor on the HubSpot Academy team. She's also the education creator of the HubSpot Academy email marketing certification. Welcome, Courtney Sembler.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Courtney. It's great to have you here as well. So I'd just like to pass straight over to you to do the next 45 minutes or so.
Fantastic. Yes, let's jump right in. We are starting off with Aidan Carroll. Aidan is the co-founder of digital marketing training company, The Coloring In Department. I see him moving his hands. So Aidan, what is your number one actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Thanks for the intro, Courtney. Good to be here. Thanks for having me. It's very, very difficult, I think, to come up with one particular tip, as it were. I think there's kind of a lot going on in the marketing space, and I'm sure actually that's been evident today and will be throughout the program. The idea really, I suppose, for me, I guess, to wrap a tip around a story rather than anything else, if that's okay, rather than just give you a tip like a vending machine. I think, from my perspective, I was having a conversation with a couple of very prominent search people the other day, and just listening to Christy there, quite search-orientated, and Judith also quite search-orientated, and I'm thinking, what's going on in the broader marketing space? So I want to have a slightly different angle on it, if that's okay. And I asked these kind of guys, they were talking about, well, look, we're building remarketing lists for search advertising. So we're building audiences around paid search predominantly. And one of these particular guys mentioned, well, we can use these audiences kind of to target video advertising as well. And I thought, in my probably slightly British humor, which Judith might appreciate, that they were being sarcastic. And actually, I kind of asked, well, you're obviously you're being funny. And they were kind of thinking, oh, no, actually, we can build these audiences out a little bit more. And I was talking to these guys about Google Signals. And kind of to get to my point, I guess, Google Signals, of course, is the aggregated advertising product from Google. So kind of a little bit like what Christy mentioned in the context of Bing, to tie together remarketing Google Analytics, to tie together some of our advertising reporting features, our demographics and interest reports, and indeed our cross-device reporting, which is in beta. So it's thinking about really actually how do we be more multi-channel. So if you're a search expert, great. If you're a social media expert, great. If you're an email expert, and I know you are, then great. But what are the blind spots, so to speak? How can we better track across device, across channel, and cross capacity and cross function, so we can get the most out of, frankly, one another's jobs and less of just our own? So for me, really, it's a matter of, in 2019, as it were, it's kind of to David's original brief, get your head out of the sand and start to look around at what is possible in other functions rather than in your own. So that's probably my top tip, Courtney.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Aidan. You're going to be able to find Aidan over at thecoloringindepartment.com. Next up, we have Judith Lewis. So Judith has been in online marketing since late 1996, loves chocolate, so do I, and speaks around the world at conferences and is the tech lead on a viticulture think tank in Switzerland. So Judith, what is your number one actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Besides making sure my microphone works before I'm actually on air. It actually worked. Hallelujah. I'm all about weird link building. So a lot of people know that I've been doing online marketing for a long time. And since the start of the internet, pretty much, where we had web links, because, search engines sucked. The core of the algorithms have really been built around people finding their own ways around the internet through links. And I think links have become a really dirty word because people akin somewhat to get-rich-quick schemes have tried to build fast, cheap, and easy link building schemes, and nothing in life is fast and cheap and easy. If it's easy, it's not going to be cheap, and it's probably not going to be that fast. But we have to choose our two key things. And I think in link building, the one message that I have been trying to get across to people for maybe 5 or more years now is that it's about reaching out to sites that are actually legitimately interested in you in the style of old web rings. For those of you who are as old or older than me, and remember web rings, which was basically hopping from site to relevant site because they offered value. So if you're going to be building links, if somebody's going to link to you, why? Why are they linking to you? You have to have some really compelling content. And I recommend to clients, and they hate this, is that they spend a lot of time only once or twice a year building out some really key research and using that content to actually reach out to other sites and deliver value to them as well. So don't have everything on your site. Hold something back to give to the people that are going to be linking to you that creates value for them, creates value for you, and gives them a reason to actually link to your site. They have unique content that's not on your site, but you've got lots of content that's not on there. So it's all about creating value for the searcher and for the site that you're targeting. one day, maybe the internet will go boom and we won't have search engines again. You never know. It could happen. And so how are we going to find our way around again? Links. So if you're going out and link building, please ignore people that offer you for like whatever, for $9.95 this week only, Ginsu 2 knives and links. Please build responsibly. Look, it sounds like a drug ad, you know. Please, kids, just build links responsibly and just say no to spam. So please don't focus too much on keywords. Don't over-optimize, you know, all that stuff.
That's fantastic. I love the humor in that. I love the focus on the why. You can find Judith over at dcabot.com. And next up, we have Gianluca Ferrelli. Gianluca is a senior international and strategic SEO consultant and founder of the Inbounder Conference. All right, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
I have 3 actionable tips. I will be really fast. And so one is all about visual search. We have seen that in the past was Pinterest, then came Bing, and since 1 year already, we have Google really pushing and reinventing Google Image. The most interesting things that I have done is putting Google Lens inside image search in the US. And so probably it's going to be spread all over the other Google. So rediscover Google Image, rediscover SEO for image search, and also because everything we have loved about Pinterest search is going to be able to be possible on Google. So really consider also the combination between the magic combination between voice search and visual search, which is really going to be, for me, one of the massive news of next year and the years to come. The second one, for all of you working on international SEO, don't stop only on hreflang, please. Really work on fully localize your website for give a really localized experience of your website to the people from the countries you're targeting. Don't deliver always the same content, the same homepage, because an Italian is interested in other things than a Spanish one or a British people or an American people. So really work on with your developers in order to have a really agile CMS in order to fully localize also the content that you are creating on your website. And third, I always like to remember to suggest a refresher. For me, the refresher of the next year should be rediscover information architecture. Information architecture, so navigation, the structure of your website is the best way to offer Google, and also in terms of usability to your user, an easy way to discover how your website is structured and segmented in silos and killer pages and cornerstone. So rediscover information architecture for taxonomy and blah, 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 and categorization. So these are my 3 main suggestions for 2019.
Fantastic. Snuck 3 in there and I only asked for 1. Great. You can find Gianluca over at iloveseo.net for maybe some more other than 3 tips already. Next up, we have Bridget Randolph. Bridget is the co-founder and chief strategist for Kavi Consulting. It's process science consultancy helping businesses organically automate, scale, and grow. All right, Bridget, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Hey, it's great to be here. I want to just remind everyone, if you're not feeling super confident with mobile first indexing, this is a great time to be really doubling down on that. And for those who may be less familiar with what that means, it's about Google starting to treat your mobile version of your website as the primary version, which sounds a little scarier than it is, because it doesn't actually have to change much if you're already doing a lot for your mobile experience. So I guess what I would say about it is just a couple key points I want everyone to know. First, don't panic. We've been talking about mobile SEO and mobile websites for years now, and most people are doing a lot of good things with that. So if you've been trying to keep up with responsive design or with just having a good mobile site experience, you probably don't have to worry too much about everything going to pieces when this does happen for your site. And also they're rolling it out very slowly to make sure that people are in a good place. So don't panic, but do start looking at things like your mobile experience and making sure that it's a really good experience for people, because that's going to be what they're looking at first. And also making sure, this is a key thing, that everything that you want people to see on your website is available from the mobile version. Because way back when we first started doing mobile only or mobile friendly versions of our websites, we told people keep it light, keep it to the minimum of what you need people to see on a phone, and it might look different to your desktop. But now what they're saying is, like, this mobile version is going to be considered your primary version. So if you want it to be seen, make sure it's on there. And just the last point on that is, oh, I had another one. What was it? Oh, switchboard tags. So people have set up, if they have a separate mobile website, they might have put on what's called a switchboard tag to indicate that, you know, this is the mobile version of this desktop site. And in some ways it's like a canonical, where it's looking at the desktop version as primary and the mobile as sort of an alternative version. People have been asking me, do I need to reverse that now if the mobile version is going to be like the main version? And the answer is right now, no. What Google's been saying is just leave it the way you have it. If you have it set up the way they've been telling you, you should be good. So to quickly summarize, if you've been doing everything that we've been recommending to make sure you have a good mobile experience, you should be fine. But now is a great time to be just giving that another look and making sure that you are in a good place and that your user experience is really solid and that you're not missing anything from your mobile site that you want on your desktop.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much, Bridget. Love the don't panic. That's exactly where I would start as well. You can find Bridget over at kavasconsulting.com. And next up, we have David Stitala. David is owner and CEO of the PPC advertising agency, FMB Media. David, welcome. And what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019? I believe.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Perfect.
Okay. So 2019, I think it's about time for PPC campaign managers to finally admit to themselves and embrace the fact that machines can do bidding better than humans can. So I encourage the listeners to try either Google's CPA targeted bidding, where you say to Google, give me as many conversions as possible at or below this target CPA, or return on an ad spend targeted bidding, where you say to Google, give me as many sales as possible at or below this target return on ad spend. A couple new ones are target impression share, target maximum impression share. So you can say to Google, give me as much of the top of the page impression share as I can possibly get. This could be the perfect bidding strategy for brand campaigns. Another new one is target outranking share. This is really intriguing because basically you can say to Google, show my ads above my competitor. This is my competitor's domain. I want you to always show my ads above my competitor. So obviously fantastic in competitive situations. 2 tips. One of them is, with all of these bid management capabilities, you've got to be patient. The software learns over a period of time, and that period of time is usually at least 2 weeks. I know a lot of clients and bosses have short attention spans and can't possibly wait that long, but you really have to try to push them off, hold them off until the software does its job. And then the second tip is, when you're making adjustments in CPA or return on ad spend for new targets, only make an adjustment that is 10 or 15% different from the current one. So for example, if Google suggests a target CPA for you, only make an adjustment that's 10 or 15% different from that target, and then wait a week or two for the target CPA or return on ad spend to stabilize, and then make another adjustment.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, David. David, absolutely love the focus on patience. So important. You can find David over at Siltala.com, .me. Next up, we have Matt Siltala. Matt is the president and founder of Avalanche Media, and a podcaster at Business of Digital, with a weekly podcast on all things digital marketing. So Matt, welcome. And what is your #1 actionable digital tip for marketing for 2019?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I guess I would start off by saying something like and again, this is such a broad, a broad ask, but I would say there's no one category of digital marketing that I think should be the sole focus of any kind of products or services that you're selling. But of course, if you find something that works really well for you, then you stick with it. For example, at Avalanche Media, we're known for a lot of the visual content stuff, and the visual content has worked really, really well for us. And so we continue to refine that and continue to figure out better ways to do our visual content. But however, that said, I believe making it better and better. But over and over in 2019, we still have to diversify our efforts. So, for example, we can, unfortunately, a lot of the old school SEOs that are in here, we can't rely on organic traffic only these days, especially with new businesses and websites. You got to be involved with paid ads for both search and social, especially social, more these days. But invest in your business through digital marketing. Be patient, but track. Make sure you're tracking everything. Track your efforts. Track your ROI. And when you strike gold, leverage that. You can, leverage all you can, and just understand that things can change. But also, don't forget to keep your head on a swivel and keep pushing and testing all the different marketing channels that can generate revenue. Again, like I said, at Avalanche Media, we've done really well with a lot of our visual content. But if we were just doing the same type of visual content that we were doing, back in 2008, we wouldn't survive in 2018, 2019. So those would be that would be what I would suggest.
Love it. Thanks so much. I think that's such a great point. You got to test, you got to experiment, and things are changing. We got to keep up with it. But thanks so much. You can find Matt over at businessof.digital. And thanks again.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Ben Tepfer. Ben is a global technical evangelist for the Adobe Experience Cloud and Adobe Experience Platform. Welcome, Ben, and please tell us your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019.
Cool. Well, thank you, Courtney, and great to be here. So I think that what I would say is, to start off, it's all about stop selling products and start selling experiences. And we use that word a lot here at Adobe, but it's really about how you differentiate as a business in the marketplace today. People remember that more. They remember more going into a store and having a really unique moment where the sales representative engaged with them when they go to a website, and that targeted experience is really driven towards their purchase behavior. Us as consumers, we all can relate to those experiences, but it's also great for businesses as well. So we've actually found at Adobe, we did a study this past year that found that businesses that focus on selling and creating experiences generate more revenue for their own business as well. So it's actually good for your business to invest in these experiences. And then to go along with that, when you're thinking about this executive, it's also to surprise and delight the customer. Example that I recently experienced. And there's you're seeing more and more of these brands today that are focused on tailored to shampoo for you, cologne for me, right? You see these things all the time. And one of these brands for Black Friday sent out an email that basically, it was an accidental email sent to internal employees. It looked like one of those, hey guys, enjoy closure for Thanksgiving, and don't forget to use your employee discount this week. And they made it look like it was this, just internal experience, but actually it was a promotional email. And if you followed it online, you can see that there was tons of people saying, like, hey, I think you got this wrong, and people used this code, they engaged in it. And it was that kind of that surprise, that delight, that experience that I thought was really impactful. So I think that going into 2019, we need to think a lot more about how do we differentiate ourselves through these exciting and different experiences, and then how do we also create these memorable moments that our customers come back to and share online and talk more about.
Fantastic. I love the word delight in there. It's something we talk a lot about here at HubSpot. So thank you again, Ben, and you can find him over at adobe.com. Up next, we have Jim Banks. Jim is the CEO of a HubSpot partner agency, Spades Media, which is specializing in delivering quality results from all forms of paid media. So welcome, Jim, and please share with us your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Great to be here. We've hit an inflection point in digital marketing. We say it every year, next year, shaping up to be the most exciting yet, greatest opportunities. But I actually think that's the case this year. I'm actually celebrating 20 years in this industry next year. So this is my #1 tip. So I think you should invest in video, right? Because people like Apple and Samsung, they've been tinkering around with their phones, not really done much with it. But everyone now is a content producer. Yeah, and much of the evolution on what's going on now is happening on the data side of things, right? So I think, 5G is being played around with in the States. I think it's in about 1,000 cities in the States. I know that T-Mobile have implemented their 5G backbone in 1,000 cities. To give you an idea, I mean, like a 25 gig UHD video could be downloaded in 10 seconds over 5G, right? And what we're finding is that any ads we run on Facebook, Instagram, they perform so much better. Right, so if you haven't incorporated video into your marketing strategy for next year, then you really need to be tinkering with it now, because you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be doing it very well. I just think it makes a lot more sense to try it now before it becomes mandatory that you kind of do that, right? I mean, I think the Cisco stats say that 82% of all the internet traffic in 2020 is going to be video, right? So if you haven't got video as front and center and an integral part of your content strategy, I think you're really going to miss out. Yeah, and I think for me, I think with video, it sort of dovetails really, really nicely with mobile, right? And I think those two things together will really give you a phenomenal opportunity in 2019.
Fantastic. Thanks so
That's
much,
probably
Jim.
about 45 seconds, right?
Yeah.
I whipped through it. But yeah, I mean, again, for me, obviously as a HubSpot partner, we're doubling down, if you like, on video for all of the clients that we work with. We're trying to incorporate it and make it an integral part of what they do. But what we're also trying to do is to say, don't turn your back on, like blog posts and stuff like that. I think really it's a case of, if you can use some sort of transcription service, and then again, AI will help you to transcribe your videos into here's a PDF of what that content is. That can then become potentially, because again, people want to consume that content separately, so they may want to kind of download the transcript. That's something you can put behind a kind of, hey, we want to send this to you by email. That then gives you the email. You can then follow up with them that way to kind of get the conversation going.
Definitely. I love those different options there based off the different learners or how someone wants to be able to consume that information. So thanks so much, Jim. You can find him over at spadesmedia.com. Moving right along here. Next up, we have Ross Tavendale. Ross is the managing director of Type A Media, the SEO agency famous for their 4-day work weeks. He is also the host of the weekly SEO show. And Ross, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Well, Courtney, I have to say first and foremost that everyone should know that SEO is absolutely dead. That's the #1 thing. No, I'm only kidding. The most actionable tip. Well, I love being asked this question because, especially if it's black hat people that are asking me, because I like to mess with them a little bit, and I like to say my #1 ranking factor, or most important thing for next year, is brand, and just watch their faces go, did that guy just say brand is the most important thing? I'm like, yes, I did. And the reason being is, if we're looking at organic search for a second, because I live in that little microcosm, what does brand bring you, or more importantly, what does brand bring me as an agency owner? We're a tiny little boutique agency based out of London, but for some reason, our deal flow is amazing, despite not really ranking for a ton of stuff, but the stuff we do rank for is incredibly commercial, right? And when it comes to actually converting those people or putting them through lead magnets or anything like that, it's so easy for us because we have like this little micro brand thing going on. Now, one of the interesting things for me recently is we do a lot of link building, and we build links in some of like the biggest publications in the world, from like the BBC over here to the Wall Street Journal over here. But what we find is, if startup and they've got no like brand equity, or like really obvious, if they're not a really obvious entity with enough trust coming into them, there's a dampening effect on those links. We had this great campaign, we got 20, 30 links from these amazing big publications, but there's no way of verifying if these people are actually trustworthy or not outside of the link base. So brand has always been a kind of big thing for me. And just to echo what Jim said previously as well, doing it via video, and I'll have to thank David for being so instrumental in that, and like, get your visuals better, get your audio better, the whole thing. It's so important. The reason why video for me is such a big play when it comes to brand is because, well, we use something called a COPE strategy. If you think about what a video is, it's moving pictures and audio. So you can strip the pictures, turn them into nice quote cards. You can put the audio as a podcast. So this COPE strategy is called Create Once, Publish Everywhere. And that's kind of what we like to do for our clients. So take a very small amount of budget you've got, put it all into brand, and just squeeze it and make it work as hard as possible.
Thanks so much, Ross. And you can find him over at typeamedia.net. Maybe get some cool swag for your office with the SEO lights in the background. Awesome. Thanks. Moving on, we have up next Brent Kusteros. Brent is the managing partner of Search Engine Journal and a digital marketing consultant. Brent, welcome. And what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Welcome. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me fine?
All good.
Perfect, perfect. So I think, you know, a couple people have mentioned to the effect that there's really not like one core thing, and it's even been mentioned by Ross earlier that we're at this point now where I would agree that we're really seeing this transition into, you know, such a change in the internet. There's so many things that are being pulled in so many different directions, from privacy to authority to author profiles, video, mobile, everything, right? So, but I think that one of the things that I've looked at over the last year, and what I think is going to continue to be effective, is really coming back to quality of content. I think that one of the things is that, you know, not only is it really impactful right now today, but it also supports all these other efforts, right? If you're creating video, you need content, that's content, right? And what I mean by really impactful is we've seen ever since like 2011, we've seen with Panda the continual adjustment of that implementation, as well as a lot of the different algorithmic elements in social and in search, that, you know, there was a point when we wanted all content from everyone, and Google wanted to index all the content of the web, but that has really changed. They do not want all of your content. Not only do they not want you know, all of your good content, they really don't want your bad content. So we've started to see that low quality content really pull everything else down. What I've seen a lot of, both at Search Engine Journal and a lot of companies, I won't name names, but a lot of really big publications have been taking this concept of taking 10, 15 articles, consolidating them into one article, and then redirecting those to that core article, making sure it's current, making sure it's modern, making sure it's really effective, and seeing anywhere from 20 to 40% growth overall. So all 15 pages going away into one, they're still seeing from the collective traffic about a 20 to 30% boost. We're seeing that a lot with product sites as well. If you go in and look at your analytics, you're almost always going to find that 10 or 15%, you know, of your site is really performing for the whole site, and your other 75, 85, 90% of your content is doing absolutely nothing. If you look at your log files, it's not even getting indexed. So I think we really have to focus down on determining what differentiates us. We're also going into a place where over 50% of all mobile traffic no longer clicks. Right? When they're searching, they're not clicking through to a website, they're getting information, they're really engaging in a different way. And I think what that leads us to having to really do is differentiate the type of content we're creating and so forth. So I think quality content, really focusing on distinguishing the schema markup for each thing. There's a lot of new stuff like claim review, which allows you to, which could be a factor in determining the authority of an author going forward, because you can start to get a score on whether you're telling the truth or not. There's a lot of issues coming between mobile, fact-checking, authority, and in general succeeding with schema, which is what a lot of people are trying to do. I think that all comes down to quality of content. So scale back what you're doing, stop trying to create content all the time, and really focus on creating content that's truly going to change the game for your space.
Awesome. Lots of good tips in there. Thanks so much, Brent. You can find Brent over at BrentKukros.com. And next up, we have Lucas Zeldany. I apologize if I did not quite get that last name correctly, but Lucas is the SEO keynote speaker and social media consultant. Please tell us, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Thank you for having me. And yes, so I was thinking that I would like to share something relatively easy to digest for even people who just started journey or are in somewhere in the middle. And obviously, we're living in this situation that there is a massive problem with non-provided keywords. And from one side, we have a new search console, which is a super powerful tool. From the other side, we have Google Analytics, which is also a super powerful tool. And somewhere there is this missing gap between keywords that the data that we have in Search Console and all the rest of the traffic and the metrics we have in Google Analytics. But fortunately, there is a tool that been invented 2 years ago, and I would really, really, really like to suggest to everyone who is listening to us. It's a Keyword Hero. I am using this with passion. I'm waking up at morning and I'm just checking Keyword Hero. Keyword Hero is trying to marry from one side data from Search Console, from the other side data from Google Analytics. And especially if you're working for an e-commerce shop, you can easily exclude all the brand keywords and see generic keywords, see which keywords convert, see what keywords deliver you revenue, and just focus on these keywords, just to put lots of efforts into these keywords. And thanks to that, you're leveraging your revenue 3 times faster, and you or your clients are 3 times more happy. That's my advice. And thank you very much for having me.
Fantastic. I love the passion in there. I love it. Thanks so much. You can find Lucas over at zelany.uk. Again, thanks so much for giving us your tips. And up next, we have Damien Goetner. Damien is a digital marketer with over a decade of experience working with brands across the globe. Hopefully I pronounced your last name right, but Damien is in, what is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Kudos. Absolutely beautiful job pronouncing the last name, so I appreciate that. It's my secret password, too, for those that don't know me. But actionable tip for 2019, a decade spent in the game playing in Google Ads, and I don't know that I've ever been more excited because it feels like a brand new platform in a lot of ways, specifically because of an audience-based approach. So we've moved and migrated some of our largest spending and most aggressive and complex accounts to a completely different strategy, and the idea is that instead of looking at tent-based keywords and a lot of different in-the-moment and funnel-specific places, and we want to look at who is the audience and where is that audience, and can we speak to that audience in a different way, and can we target them in a different way. So Google is opening up the ways that you can use audience targeting, specifically in YouTube and in display, to really start to warm up audiences so that you have some brand awareness and some brand affinity before they get to the non-brand product search that you ultimately want to be positioned for. So audience-based approach and leveraging your first-party data. Too many businesses are sitting on gold mines of data, big pools of CRM data, and big pools of newsletter signups, and big pools of actually actionable marketing data from their email list and from their website itself. And too many times they're just letting that data die on the vine.
I love it. Those are great tips. I love that, focusing on what you already have at your fingertips. We have so much information that we might not be using. So thanks so much, Damien, for the tips. You can find him over at aspiroagency.com. Thanks so much.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Courtney.
Superb stuff. Thank you both. And especially Courtney there. Did I give you the most difficult surnames there?
There was a few tricky ones in there. I always want to make sure I'm pronouncing people's names correctly.
You did a wonderful job, and your colleague Justin as well, of course, and I really appreciate that. And everyone seemed to be joining at exactly the right time and just sharing the tip for the right time as well. We're absolutely spot on time, and I'm sure that's also a lot to do with the quality of your hosting there as well. But before you head off, I would like to get your opinion as well. So, Courtney, what would you say is your #1 actionable digital marketing tip for 2019?
Yes, as an email marketer, we're coming off a big year with GDPR. So going into 2019, really focusing back on those healthy email marketing lists and really looking at continuing that personalization and focus on that, really respecting people's data. I think the biggest thing all of us can do as we head into 2019 is looking at what information we want to be sending and making sure it's going to the right people. It sounds maybe a little simple and maybe is something we're already doing, but really doubling down and focusing on, now that we have some of these additional regulations, now that we know this is a focus for the globe and going into 2019, making sure that we're being able to provide that personalized experience at scale, but we're doing it in the correct way, making sure that we're sending the right information to the right people and the people that not only want that information, but have given us permission to send it to them.
Absolutely superb. And of course, you can find Courtney over at academy.hubspot.com. Wonderful having you gone. It was great being a part of this HubSpot live stream as well. We are having quite a few comments still coming in, still lots of people watching live, so it's great to have your comments in there as well. It was interesting that we're getting a few comments about email marketing there as well. Anne Mary's saying, is email marketing still as important for 2019? And Marlon Thompson answering, saying, I think email will be more important, or just as important in 2019. And obviously, Courtney, from your perspective, that is very much definitely the case.
Definitely. Email's not going anywhere. It's only going to get more personalized, and we're going to be able to continue to use it in even more ways.
Superb. And it's also a great way to get that direct contact data for the people that you want to reach as well. There are so many ad networks out there that are getting costlier and costlier to actually reach people on, and unless you have that direct means of communicating with people, could be a chatbot, could be email, could be something else, but email is likely to be at the heart of it, I guess, for the near future and possibly the far future as well. Wonderful. Okay, a few more comments there. Kevin Anderson saying that he loves rev.com for transcriptions. Funnily enough, we're actually going to be using rev.com to transcribe this whole show and the rest of the live streams as well. And that will be the first path to getting all the content published as the book Digital Marketing in 2019. We've got Lynn Watesh saying that keyword-hero.com is the domain name that Lucas was talking about there. So thank you so much for sharing that domain there. I'm going to be sharing all the website addresses and social handles of the participants as part of this call to anyone who is subscribed to updates at digitalmarketing2019.com. So please make sure you're subscribed to that, chatbot and email, and I will make sure that I'll reach out to you with that. Of course, if you're not able to watch everything live online, you can watch the recordings. If you can't watch the recordings on the various platforms that we're publishing the different parts of the series, please also subscribe to Digital Marketing Radio, the podcast, where you will receive shortened, about 40-minute sections of each show for a podcast episodes. And also we've got the book, of course, being published in late February, probably. You'll find all that over at digitalmarketing2019.com. In the meantime, thanks so much to everyone watching. Thanks again to HubSpot Academy for being a part of it. We're going to carry on the live streams over the next few days. But until then, until tomorrow, be fantabulous and do one thing that scares you. Adios.